Bro, the Targaryens marry their own siblings constantly for generations, and the show treats it like normal family stuff? No cap. This isn't even the weird part. The weird part is that real royal families did this too, on purpose, for centuries. One actual king couldn't chew his own food because his parents were uncle and niece. That's not fiction. That's just Tuesday for European royalty. Let that sink in.
Okay, gang. We need to start with the most unhinged royal family to ever exist, the Habsburgs. Spain's last Habsburg king, Charles II, is the actual poster child for royal incest. He suffered from multiple health problems before dying at 38, including an extreme version of what's literally called the Habsburg jaw, a badly misshapen mandible so severe he could barely speak or chew food. Bro, could not eat. A king with unlimited access to every food on the planet couldn't physically chew it. His parents were uncle and niece, not distant cousins, not we're technically related, but it's fine. Uncle and niece. Geneticists have confirmed that consanguinity, meaning his parents shared the same ancestors, directly caused this condition. This family did this on purpose for generations to keep the bloodline pure. Bro, the bloodline was not pure. The bloodline was cooked, deep fried, several generations in a row, and they kept doing it anyway. Built different? Nah. Built the same jaw shape over and over until biology said absolutely not.
Now let's talk about ancient Egypt, because this lore goes back even further. DNA testing on King Tut's mummy revealed his parents were full siblings, brother and sister. Let that marinate. Geneticist Dr. Yehia God called it a big surprise, even though incest was common practice to keep royal blood from mixing with non-royal blood. And the result? King Tut had a debilitating club foot so severe he couldn't walk unaided, and he was buried with 130 used canes. 130. Bro needed an entire warehouse of walking sticks just to function. Scientists also found necrosis, dying bone tissue in his foot, plus multiple strains of malaria in his body. And his marriage to his own sister or half-sister produced 2 pregnancies. Neither survived. Deadass. The most famous pharaoh in human history was a frail teenager who needed a king to cross a room and couldn't successfully have children because his entire gene pool was the same gene pool. This is the guy with the golden mask, the treasure everybody knows. And in real life, he was getting cooked by his own family tree.
And here's where it gets even more unhinged, because this family didn't even need direct incest to cause chaos. Queen Victoria of England passed a gene causing hemophilia to the royal families of Russia, Spain, and Germany through her children's marriages. Her great-grandson, Alexei Nikolaevich, the Tsarevich of Russia, inherited the disease. Bro, one woman's bloodline spread a blood disorder across an entire continent's royal families because European royalty had such a small dating pool that everyone was basically marrying their second cousins across different countries for centuries. The gene pool wasn't a pool, it was a puddle, and everyone kept drinking from it. Children of incest are statistically more likely to suffer reduced fertility, lower birth rates, higher infant mortality, congenital birth defects, and suppressed immune systems. This isn't a Game of Thrones writer's room decision. This is just what happens when you refuse to expand the friend group for 500 years straight. Now, here's the part that actually connects directly back to the show. King Aerys Targaryen, the Mad King. King George III of England suffered from manic episodes that led to actual government instability and regency crises, almost identical to the Mad King storyline. Doctors have proposed multiple explanations, including porphyria, a genetic blood disease that causes anxiety and mental confusion. His descendants, Princess Charlotte of Prussia and her daughter, were both later confirmed through DNA testing to also carry porphyria. Bro, the madness wasn't random. The madness was hereditary, running through the family, generation after generation, because the family kept marrying itself. George R.R. Martin didn't invent the concept of a mad inbred king. He just gave him a dragon.
Here's the twist that makes this whole thing even more unhinged. These families weren't
weren't doing this by accident. Royalty often believed that because they were akin to gods on Earth, mirroring the incestuous relationships of the gods they worshipped, they should keep their bloodlines exclusively within the family too. They thought it made them divine, special, untouchable. Bro thought breeding with his own sister was a flex, a power move. Main character energy at its most catastrophic. And here's the funny part. This concept backfired regularly with madness, genetic disorders, and sibling rivalry causing the collapse of the very dynasties the practice was supposed to protect. The thing they did to stay powerful is the exact thing that destroyed them. Certified self-own, generational L. They were trying to protect the bloodline, and the bloodline was the problem the entire time.
And before anyone thinks this was just a few unlucky families, it wasn't. Many ancient Egyptian pharaohs married their cousins or siblings, and the 12th dynasty actually married brother to sister for 7 or 8 consecutive generations without major recorded issues, becoming one of the most successful dynasties in Egypt's entire history. Wait, 7 or 8 generations? And it worked. Sometimes, bro, royal inbreeding was basically a coin flip across history. Sometimes you get a stable 7-generation dynasty. Sometimes you get a king who can't chew solid food. There was no science. There was no genetics knowledge. Just vibes, tradition, and hoping for the best. And generation after generation, royal families across completely different civilizations, Egypt, Spain, England, Russia, independently arrived at the exact same idea. Keep it in the family. It will make us stronger.
It almost never did.
So here's where it actually lands. House of the Dragon isn't shocking because it's fictional and extreme. It's shocking because it's historically accurate and restrained. The real version had more canes, more misshapen jaws, more mad kings whose madness got passed down like a family heirloom. Real royal families spent centuries convincing themselves that keeping power meant keeping it in the family. And every single time, biology eventually sent the bill. The Targaryens aren't a fantasy invention. They're a highlight reel. No cap. Actual human royalty was unhinged enough that a show about dragons had to tone it down to keep it believable. Brain Rot University. We are so back, unfortunately.